Hey everybody, welcome back to Star Wars Battlefront 2. We are doing another video of Star Wars Battlefront 101 today, and the first little bit that we're talking about is ground vehicles. So we're going to go over into instant action and find one that has ground vehicles on it. I'm going to try to do the ones that have the most ground vehicles on them. Those probably being, let's see, let's do Kashyyyk. So that one has the most variability for vehicles. Doesn't have all of them, but we're going to try it out. Here we go. So we're starting with Clone Wars. I'm going to start with Republic because everybody loves clones. This map has bark speeders, which I'm going to do those first because they're a little harder to get. So this is our first speeder of the day. Has terrible side-to-side movement, but as you can tell from the name, has a great speeder. It's really good at speed. Has two little cannon things on the front here, which are great against infantry, but terrible against other vehicles. It has the normal speed of this, but then you can also like sprint speed as well. That's about it. I usually use this one for just getting across the battlefield. I don't really fight with this one. There's a version of the standard like speeder bike in the original Battlefront that actually has an ability to ram people and like get a kill as soon as you hit them. This one does not have that, unfortunately. You can get a little bit of damage, but if you can hit them directly on, but it doesn't do much to them at all. So that's about it for this. So while this is here, we're going to jump into this armored tank droid, they call it in this, but it's a Corporate Alliance tank droid. My favorite ship, the snail tank. The main shot is this shotgun blast. Kind of like this. Really good against infantry, really good against tanks. Has great fire rate to it. The secondary also is this little mortar barrage. I don't know what that guy's doing there. Taking a lot of hits here. That's pretty good health. For the most part, anyway. It is ground one though, so again, the front, there is no side-to-side mobility on this thing. It's great forward and back. Also has a front and back sprint speed thing. Thought that thing was about to explode. So yeah, as you can see here, you can go normal speed or you can sprint speed really fast. This one can ram kill enemies, foot soldiers at least. But yeah, it's really good against pretty much all targets in this, because this shotgun blast, as long as you're getting direct hits, can just wreck guys really fast. And then that mortar barrage also good against enemies like that. And then both weapons are great against vehicles. So that is the Separatist snail tank or the Corporate Alliance tank droid. Take your pick. The weak point for the armored tank droid or the Corporate Alliance tank droid do about that much damage if you fire normally, but the weak point is this little cylinder in the back wheel. It practically destroys it if you hit it. I'll try it at full health here. I missed. Let's try it again here. Hold on a sec. Yeah, it does almost all of it. Similar to the IFTX. Up next is everybody's favorite tank from Star Wars, the TX-130, or as it's called in this one, the IFTX. This one also has an Imperial variant, which we'll do here in a little bit. It's called the IFTI. But as you can see, you can get a secondary person in this one. It has a top little gunner here with a laser. It's not my favorite to drive, but it's usually good to have AIs in because they're a little bit more accurate. This one also has a sprint speed function as well. His front weapons, oh my goodness, we're getting destroyed by one of those snail tanks. Front weapons are just these normal blasters. And then the secondary is rockets, which you might remember all of this from the old 2002 Clone Wars game, which is where this vehicle debuted. But yeah, really fun little tank. It's a repulsor tank, so it has side-to-side motion. Front to back motion, and then you can have sprint speed forward as well. So yes, definitely a vehicle to pick up if you can. I feel like the health, I don't know how to confirm this, but I feel like the health is not quite as good as the snail tank or the other ones. The weak point for the TX-130 is this little box right on the back here. So if you put a shot right into the plating with a rocket, it does about that much damage. And if you do it right there, it practically destroys it. Yeah, so that's what the weak point does for the TX or the FTX. There you go. Oh, how convenient, the STAP. This is the Separatist speeder, as opposed to the STAP speeder, or the Bark speeder that we were using earlier. This one is classic from Phantom Menace. It's just these two little blaster cannons on it. Also has sprint speed as well, and functions as the speeder. This one I really just use for point A to point B. There's really not a whole lot you can do with it. The side-to-side motion kind of sucks, but it is there, just because it's a repulsor vehicle. The damage output that these lasers do is quite good, but hitting the enemies is the hard part. So if you can do it, it's great. Otherwise, this thing has like no health. And you're pretty exposed on the back of it there, where I just got sniped by a mortar cannon. So, yeah. So that pretty much does it for this map. Let's see what else we get. Alright, so continuing our... what do you call this? Clone Wars segment of this video. We also have the other classic from Phantom Menace, the AAT tank. This is one of my personal favorites. Doesn't have very good forward mobility, but it does have about the same speed forward, back, side to side. But it does have a sprint speeds forward. This is a particularly good tank on Battlefront 1, because these side things, they're not super great in this. I mean, they're about the same. They do quite a bit of damage, 2-hit kills in this, but in Battlefront 1 they have like explosive properties, so you can ragdoll enemies, you can kill them in one shot. Like, it's insanely good weapon, or good vehicle. The secondary weapon is the rockets, just like the TX-130 or IFTX has, and it also has a secondary position just like this is kind of the answer to the IFTX, where it has the secondary position, but this one is just a siege gun instead of the other option, which is the laser cannon on the TX-130. This one does pretty much have the same effect that the standard guns have in the first game. Massive ragdoll effect. So that's about it for that. So most of the vehicles, or most of the mainline vehicles, not the speeders or stuff like that, or the Hailfire droid, most of them actually have weak points on them, where if you shoot them with rockets a certain amount of times in one life, it will give you metal for demolition. And eventually, if you do that enough, you'll get remote rockets as an award. So the weak point for the AAT to start off with is this little hatch underneath the bottom, or the back. So kind of get a good shot off, it would stop moving. It does almost the entire thing. Whereas if you were to fire one straight into its front plating, it would do just that. So that is the weak point for the AAT. Next up is the Republic. The first Republic walker here is the ATRT. Let's see if we can get one to spawn over here. Ah, we're lucky. So the ATRT... No! Don't steal it. Okay, there we go. So the ATRT is a walker type, so it has no side-to-side mobility, has forward and back only. It also has a sprint speed forward. The main cannon of it is basically a rapid-fire version of the turret emplacements that are all over Battlefront 1 and 2. Does quite a bit of damage. It's very accurate. Then the second is also a mortar barrage. Similar, or almost identical really, to the snail tank in the last map. So yeah, you can do quite a bit of damage to infantry with this thing, because the gun is actually set lower, kind of underneath the chin of this thing, so it actually is at the perfect level for shooting infantry. I can go toe-to-toe with tanks on this thing pretty well, and you can do quite a bit of damage with that mortar blast, but ultimately, most tanks have more firepower than this thing does, so be careful with that. Alright, so that is the ATRT. So up next is the next biggest map for Republic and Separatists for the Clone Wars. The only other Republic one that we haven't done, I think this might be the last Republic vehicle, is the ATTE, which is my personal favorite walker in Star Wars. This thing is a beast. It's very slow. It actually acts as its own command post, so you can spawn guys off of it. Works very well. As the pilot, you can move it. Has no side-to-side mobility, but you have forward and back. You can use the main cannons like this, which are great against infantry and only okay against vehicles. But you also have a secondary weapon, which is this heavy blast. So pretty much the same weapon, but it does a lot of damage. Like, so if you can see those spider walkers in the distance, there are weak points on them, like in the joints. If you can snipe them with this main cannon thing, it actually does a significant amount more damage than normal blasts will. So it also has multiple positions. The other one is the siege cannon up top, which functions identical to the siege cannon on the AAT. You also have the tail guns, which function as a machine gun turret right off the back. And then that's it. Looks like we got Gamma 022 in this vehicle. That's awesome. So that's about it for Republic. The weak point for this ship, I've been told, is the little cylinder down there. So I'm going to try a grenade right here. Does about that much damage. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I really don't understand that. For years, people have told me this. Just this little box or cylinder on the bottom really just doesn't do a whole lot, unless it's like inside it. Let's try that. I'm out of grenades. Hold on. Let's switch to the heavy trooper class. All right. Wasn't even targeted on a guy. Okay, so that did about that much. Let's try it just on the cylinder itself. Oh yeah, so rockets in particular do significantly more damage. If you shoot it right in the plating right there, it does that. But if you hit it underneath, it does about triple that. So that's the weak point for the ATTE. Alright, yes, so the Spider Walker is up next for the Separatists. This thing debuted and pretty much stayed in Episode 2. The main cannon is the little bottom side infantry gun, which if you can actually get pretty good kills with this thing, it's pretty accurate and does a lot of damage. Secondary weapon is the main laser turret, which is a favorite effect of mine for this one. Let me kill this guy. Shot him in the face there, because that gun, again, just like the ATRT, is kind of lower on the vehicle. Shoots straight into the infantry very well. But with the main laser, on this map specifically, you can go into Geonosis and fire at the ATTE that we were just in. The main gun on top, you can see, just barely see the pilot there. And if you can see, that just continues to populate itself, because since the ATTE is a spawn point, or its own command post, a lot of guys just spawn in and immediately go into the vehicles. So if you keep firing straight into that pilot, you could get 2 to 3 kills per shot, because they just keep endlessly spawning in right there. It's a nice way to cheese this map. As you can see there, like every shot we're getting like 2 kills at least. So yeah, a little fun thing about this. The weak point for the Spider Walker is this joint right here on both sides. If you can, especially if you're in the ATTE and you're shooting at this thing at range with the secondary, if you can hit a rocket right into there, it does about a third of the health of this thing. Instead of in the front, it's about a third of that. So it does quite a bit of damage. Up next, we have the Hailfire droid, which wins the award for probably the most useless vehicle in this game. Its main weapon is this little chin-mounted machine gun, which does pretty good against infantry. This thing has no side-to-side mobility, but is pretty fast with the sprint speed. Can turn pretty well. But then its secondary is this rocket barrage, which, since the rockets just kind of go off wherever they want to, is basically useless. So look at all of them just went into the ground or zoomed off. So terrible vehicle, but you know, it's really fun to drive around, I guess. All right, so switching over to the Galactic Civil War, we're gonna go down to, oh, I don't know. Let's start with Kashyyyk as well. Rebels versus Empire. They have a different set of vehicles on each map. So the Rebels, we'll start with them. So the Rebels have a weird tank that's not really in anything else. It's called the Alliance AAC-1. This thing is a hover tank, so it can go in just about any direction. Has somewhat limited mobility, but can go really fast if you wanted to. This thing's main weapon is just more of the turret blasts that you've seen before. And the secondary is this like heavy cannon as well. Oh my gosh, we're about to blow up. But yeah, it also has a secondary position. Switch into that, it's this rocket turret up on top. Basically functions as a rocket barrage. It's really useful if you can get an ally in there, and preferably an AI, because they're a lot more accurate. But yeah, the vehicle can do quite a bit of damage. The weak point for the Rebel AAC are these little black boxes, little cylinder things on the side here. If you can hit it, it's a little bit harder to hit, but if you put one into the plating, it just does that much damage. But if you were to put one into that weak point, it does almost all of the health. The Imperial version of the Republic IFTX is the IFTT. I don't really know what that last T stands for. If you know down in the comments. It is exactly the same. It has the gun turrets here as well as the rocket secondary, and also has a secondary position for a beam cannon, which I would definitely recommend just using for the AIs, just so, because it's really difficult to be accurate with it. So, enemies over here. Bringing our next vehicle to us. But yeah, it's a pretty good tank. It's identical to the Republic one, so there you go. The weak point for the Imperial IFTT is the box on the back, just like the Imperial IFTX. Can do almost pretty much an entire bar of health if you can nail a rocket onto it. Really easy weak point to hit. So yeah, the Rebels and Empire have the exact same speeder bike. Oh, and it's just the standard speeder bike from the Endor scene in Episode 6. This one I prefer to the Bark Speeder at the beginning significantly better. I feel like it's faster, has much faster sprint speed as well. Slightly faster turret, I believe, as well. And in the original game, at least, you were able to skewer enemies on the front of it. Not literally, but it would do like perfect kills, basically. Anytime you get a direct sprint kill onto it. It's really difficult to hit those on this one. Try to do it here. Wow, those guys are moving quick. Not even sure if this is possible to keep moving out of the way. Oh, he just put out a recon droid. This is perfect. Yeah, it just pushes him out of the way in this one. But if you were to do the same run like on Dune C in the original Battlefront, you can get ram kills with it and just kind of skewer the enemies on the front. It's really fun. The next map that has quite a lot more Imperial variety to the vehicles is Hoth. In this one, you are able to pilot the AT-AT. This one only has one, as opposed to the ATTE on the Republic side that functions the same way as this. This one also stands as its own command post. You can spawn guys off of it, but it only has one available position, which is the pilot. The standard shot is this thing, which is good for taking down these guys if you can actually get hits. There you go. But then the secondary is this, just like the ATT, the ATTE is this. It's a heavier cannon version of the thing. But yeah, so this one's great against the snow speeders, and then this one is really good against infantry. Does a lot of splash damage and can do quite a bit. The weak points for the AT-AT is the neck. If you put one right in the plating, it does about that much damage. But if you put a rocket right into the neck, it does about triple that. So keep that in mind if you're going to do that. Another good way to take these down also is with mines, as I demonstrated in the explosives video. Doesn't do anything because I'm actually on the same team as this thing, so sorry about that. The next Imperial vehicle is the beloved AT-ST, the partner to the AT-ATs. If I can catch up to this one. This one is classic from this battle, but also much more from Endor in Episode 6. The main one is this gun cannon on the side there, as well as a double cannon blast out of the front that does quite a bit of damage, as well as splash damage. And that's about it for that. But it does have a secondary position with a remote rocket that can be fired. For some reason, the targeting is firing straight down. Let's see how this works. Unfortunately, yes, I remember now. So unfortunately, the secondary position, if you are using the remote rocket, is entirely based on the targeting reticle of the pilot. So if he's just shooting down into the ground, yeah. The demolition medal for hitting weak points on vehicles with rocket launchers repeatedly in a life will eventually give you remote rockets like this, but shoulder mounted. You can actually run around with them, so it's actually pretty fun. But yeah, the weak point for the AT-ST. If you put a rocket right into the head, it does about that much damage, but if you fire it right into that hit box there, right on the back, it's almost a certain kill. And the next vehicle is the only real air support one that's in Battlefront 2. It's the Rebel Snowspeeder from Hoth. Has main cannons like this. Also has a double cannon blast like that. It does a lot more splash damage, good for infantry. But then it also has a secondary position where you can switch and fire the tow cable at the beloved AT-ATs as they fly by. Getting shot at by rockets. Oh no! Oh, that was close. Wow. Okay. Glad that was caught on camera. But yeah, so it has a secondary position where if you have this isn't really possible with one person, but you can use the tow cable to latch onto the AT-AT, and the pilot can spin around. Oh no, we're going down. Here, why don't I actually get like an AI in there? We can demonstrate an AT-AT takedown. Alright, so if you get into a snowspeeder, kind of wait for an AI to get in here, or if you have a friend that's playing with you, you can do that too. You speed out here, and as you can see that the old turret on the back is kind of cycling around a little bit. They also has a secondary weapon. I think, at least he did on the original game. Yeah, he had a secondary weapon on the original game where it was just kind of a gun turret on the back. But if you come back around with a co-pilot on there, kind of wait for his gun to turn around so you can actually see what's going on there. And he'll try to automatically latch onto the AT-AT. There you go. And it'll kind of go into this little arcade setting here where you can actually go around the AT-AT and hopefully not get shot out of the sky or run into your other pilots. And eventually, you'll go all the way around to the point where it will explode. And then you can turn around and watch the thing fall over. Just like that. So that is how you take down an AT-AT in Battlefront 2 with the Snowspeeder. So your standard turret, there's a lot of different turrets in Battlefront 2, but the standard turret, most commonly found on Camino and Mos Eisley here, especially on Mos Eisley because the Jawas are always running around repairing them. But if you find one of these little platforms here, With an engineer class, it'll have this little, whoa, where'd you go? This little glowing icon above it. And if you use your fusion cutter on that, it turns into a turret here. So it's basically a slower version of the same blast that the ATRT has. But yeah, you can zoom in with it. It's you hear them firing over your heads on this map and Camino all the time. It's crazy. Another one that we have here is the G-Notion version of the standard turret that you can jump into. This one is the Lyric cannon, or LR1K cannon. Basically it shoots like the G-Notion gun that they carry. It's like this. Direct hits do a lot of damage. Near hits also do a little bit of damage, and a little bit of lingering damage as long as that bullet's in their general vicinity. Yeah, only found on this map, so let's test it on this guy. So yeah, near miss, kind of nailed that guy there with the G-Notion help there. But yeah, near miss still does about half damage. There's another one there. Let's see if we can get a direct hit. So near miss did about half, and the sniper picked him off. Direct hit did exactly half. But the near miss does almost half, so it's pretty comparable. As far as I'm aware, the only turret difference that is looks like the normal one, but is actually different, is the beam cannon turrets on Kashyyyk. They look like the normal turret, but they have beam weapons on them, which does a little bit of damage. It takes kind of a steady hand to be able to get kills with it, but yeah, so this one is found here, and then over on that platform over there as well. Kashyyyk also has these, what are these called? Concussion cannon turrets, which you die in pretty fast because they're big targets, but they do significant damage to vehicles. There's a couple of hidden ones up here. Yeah, here we go. So, got a tank right there. Fires 2 mortars. In relatively fast fashion. You can get pretty good, easy kills with these things. So, on my Gito, they have the same skin, but they are called a particle cannon turret in this one, and have more of a direct like particle cannon shot to them instead of the mortar kind of thing the Kashyyyk ones had. And once again, these are one-shot. They're really good against vehicles, but they are one-shot kills if you can hit the infantry with them as well. The next kind of turret is on Hoth. Hoth has a lot of turrets. Is the Rebel Dish turret. It does have just a standard shot like this. It's basically the cannon blast from the particle turret on Megiddo, but just one blast. It also can charge up and do a significantly bigger shot, which is good for hitting the weak point on the AT-AT, which we'll talk about in a second. I think I just missed it there, but yeah, there it goes. Does about double or triple the damage, similar to the rockets if you were to hit it there. And that's about it for this turret. It also has a zoom function. The other kind of turret on Hoth is the Hoth defense turret, which everybody knows and loves. You can get into it. Just has a little gun turret. It's basically the same as your normal standard turret, but just stylized up different for Hoth. And there you go. Alright, so the last little bit of turrets in this game are the turbo lasers in the capital ships of the space battles. So you come over to this thing and you jump into one of these. There's several different kinds. There's these ones that are kind of like this is the same for every capital ship. It'd be the same one on that Rebel cruiser over there. Same one for Republic and Separatist. But this particular one has a machine gun one, which kind of shreds them, but it's a little bit difficult to stay on the target. You can kind of see if you're looking very closely the little impacts of the bullets going out there in the distance. Very big spread on this thing, which isn't that great, but it's good. It's good for like a point defense kind of thing, so you can kind of like shoot in the general direction of that A-wing and he'll eventually die just because you're constantly shooting at it. The nice thing about it as well is that it does not... Oh, that heavy cannon's shooting at me there. It does not overheat, so you can shoot endlessly with this thing. Oh yeah, and unfortunately if your turret dies, your guy just erupts inside the ship. So yeah, that's the machine gun turret. It's alright. It doesn't overheat, so I've been able to actually sit in one of these things and just kind of like on an enemy ship and just kind of like endlessly shoot at one of their hard points on this thing and actually get kills. It takes a while, but it's kind of fun. You can't, while you're in these things, you can actually switch which one you're in. This one is a particle turret, which, I don't know what's going on with the camera there, but yeah, particle turret's really fun. Kind of hard to hit anything, but if you do hit something, it does a lot of damage. I think that's a Y-wing there, so that won't do a whole lot of damage there, but see if I can hit this A-wing. Maybe not. Is there anybody closer? That heavy turret is trying to kill me. Let's kill it. I don't know if I have the right range for this, but we can try. This one also doesn't overheat, so you can just hold the trigger down if you need to. Yeah, I don't think that's going to do anything. Moving on to the next one. Another particle turret, machine gun. Interesting. Alright, so we're going to have to switch to a different faction for this. Something that I've really enjoyed playing on the Saga Edition mod again for the PC is that they changed a lot of these turrets to either have beams or just be a normal, like, turbo laser from the movies. So this one here, yes. So this is a beam turret, which is it's interesting. It's good if you see like a bomber coming, you can just kind of zoom in on it as it's slowly approaching, just kind of core the thing really fast. But yeah, they also have particle turrets over here as well. Yeah, there's not really any like normal, like you fly over one of these things in the auto turret versions of these ones. You can't pilot those, but they're shooting like the green turbo lasers. You know, it's your normal point defense things in Star Wars. You can't pilot any of those ones in this one, unfortunately, but if you do the Saga Edition mod on PC, like I was saying, they'd have changed those over to that. They also have like ion blast versions of them where they're shooting blue and there's like electric blast. It's really fun. So definitely check out that mod. I have several videos on it already. But yeah, so that pretty much wraps this up. Those are the blasts I'm talking about there, those green ones. Just your normal capital ship shots. Alright, transitioning into the space vehicles that you can do. You have the Republic, and I'll spawn in here. The carrier type ship for this one is the Republic gunship, as you obviously recognize there. It's 4 positions. You can get into it and pilot. It's not very fast, but it does have a particle turret over the front of it, similar to the CIS strike bomber. The secondary is just these 2 little blasters, what do you call it, proton bombs. You don't do a whole lot, but you have a lot of them. And that's about it for the pilot. So next up is the co-pilot, which can do remote rockets like this. Do a little bit of damage, but they're fun to fly. Next up is the side turret 1, which is very fun to do, only if you have a good pilot, because the AI pilots are terrible. This is kind of fun to do. You can kind of shoot off enemy fighters as they get close. The alternative to this also is the same cannon on the left side. And there you go. The nice thing about this thing, actually, it functions the same way as the AT-AT and the ATTE on ground battles. Oh, I'm having such a hard time driving this all of a sudden.
Don't let that try get away.
There we go. But yeah, it functions the same way as the ATTE and AT-AT on ground battles, where if you can land it, and pretty much anywhere, but particularly in the enemy ship, it does function as its own command post, and you can spawn guys off of it. Just like this. But when you do that, when you land it, you want to make sure that all of the guys are out of their little slots on that thing, or they will switch to the pilot seat and try to take off and run into the wall, which is really stupid. So somebody will always jump out when you land, so just make sure that they are all out before you get out, and they'll just kind of sit there and spawn out guys endlessly until the droids manage to destroy it, or the clones get in and blow it up. But really, once this thing's landed, the clones will never get into it until you come back and actually do it yourself. So, it's a fun vehicle. Everybody loves the gunship. So yeah, up next for Republic is the... I guess we'll do this one next. The Republic Starfighters is the Interceptor class for Republic. Moves very, very fast and has very, very little health. You can lock onto guys here. You can kind of shoot them with your cannons, so they move very, very quickly. Very similar to the droid tri-fighter that I'm fighting there for Separatists and the A-Wing and the Imperial TIE Interceptor. It also has a secondary of these little missiles. Don't recommend doing those at close range because they usually tend to miss, but if you do it long range, it homes in very, very well. Like this. For the most part, that might be a little too close, but yeah, as long as those rockets have time to like actually like zone in on those things and like really fire at them, they do pretty good. So that's about it for the Republic Starfighter. Up next is everybody's other favorite, the ARC 170. This thing is a tank. It's technically supposed to have a pilot, a co-pilot, and a tail gunner, but in this, it's just the standard fighter for Republic in the original game. I was playing the Saga Edition mod on PC, and they did fix that, where there's a pilot and a tail gunner where you can switch the position and actually shoot off of those two guns that are sitting on the back there. It's really fun if you want to try that out. It's the Saga Edition mod on PC. But yeah, this thing has normal cannons. They're kind of far apart, just like in LEGO Star Wars, and the two proton bombs, just like the gunship. Yeah, this is kind of just your all-purpose starfighter for Republic. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good in any particular way, but it's kind of just a jack of all trades. Alright, last for Republic is the V-Wing, which this is kind of the weird lore kind of one for Battlefront, because this one in modern canon is an interceptor, but in this version of it, it is a bomber. So the main cannon is a shotgun blast, very similar to what the Corporate Alliance tank droid has on ground, and it also has a payload of bombs, which are used to great effect on enemy capital ships. This one's not very good at dogfighting just because it's a shotgun instead of a particle blast like the strike bomber has for Separatists, but it still does get the job done if you're trying to do bombing, as it does have a pretty good payload. Alright, that's pretty much it for the Republic. Up next for the Separatists, we have the droid gunship, which functions as the carrier class ship for this game. It has a lot more positions than the clone gunship. Let me get all the set up here. We have the main cannon is a laser beam, and the second one is a bunch of the blue rockets that the Tri-Fighters have in Episode 3. There you go. So that's about it for the main cannon, or the main pilot position. Up next, you also have the, similar to the Republic gunship, you have the rockets. You also have left and right turrets, which are the particle beam turrets, which do quite a bit more damage, I think, than the laser beams. You have left and right versions of those. You also have two passengers, which can just kind of look around while you fly around. It's a fun way to do it. I'm going to switch back to the pilot before we get killed. AIs are terrible at driving these things, but yeah, they do pack a lot more punch, in my opinion, than the Republic gunship does. But yeah, similar to the AT-AT, ATTE, and Republic gunship, this thing also acts as its own command post, so if you land on an enemy ship, dump all the guys out so they don't get in and get ideas that they're going to be pilots and fly off into a wall. Dump everybody out, jump out. This thing will function as its own command post, so you can spawn on the enemy ship, spawn further into the hangar on your own ship, do whatever you want to do. Up next is the CIS Strike Bomber. This is my favorite space vehicle in the game. As one pilot position, has a particle cannon turret for its main shot, and also has a very fast payload of bombs. The particle cannon is very accurate, very heavy hitting, which is why I like it for dogfighting. And then the bombs also just go out way faster than all the other bombers in the game, so you can just crush one of these things very quickly. The bombs do about the same damage that the rest of the bombers do, but since they go out so fast, you can start that cooldown time faster, and you actually end up getting more bombs out faster. So this is why it's my favorite one. It does so much more damage than the rest, and it's pretty fast and nimble for a bomber, so you can still use it for a dogfighting vehicle if you need to. Up next is the standard fighter for the Separatists, the Droid Starfighter, or the Vulture Droid as it's more commonly called. This thing is kind of a piece of junk. It has pretty fast cannons, so if you're going after a vehicle, it does quite a bit. It doesn't have a whole lot of health, and then it has the proton bombs, just like the ARC 170 does. I don't know. It just feels so much more rickety than the rest of the vehicles in the standard Starfighters and no factions, but that's just me. That's about all it has to. The last vehicle in space for the Separatists is the Droid Tri-Fighter, which I love the idea of it. It's a good interceptor, but it has like next to no health. Like the thing, like even for interceptors, the thing is basically worthless. The main cannon is the machine gun, similar to what the Hailfire droid has on land. So if you're accurate, you can do quite a bit of damage with that. It also has the homing missiles that the droid gunship has. So as long as you can get off that way, they're a little bit better at close range than the Republic Starfighter is. This thing can move really quick. And that's about it for the Droid Tri-Fighter, because it takes 2 hits and dies. Alright, up next is the Empire. We've got the carrier vehicle for this is the landing craft that was used for the Emperor at the end of Episode 3. So basically an early Lambda craft from Episode 6. Has double particle cannons for the main cannon, as well as, I just like calling those Hellfire rockets because it does quite a bit. They're basically like extended, like more numerous versions of the interceptor missiles for Republic. They home in very well and just shredded that X-Wing there. Just kind of like that. They do quite a bit. This thing also has a remote rocket position, just like the rest of the gunships have, as well as a main gunner position, which is a tail gunner position. Has a machine gun on the back. Really fun if you have a good pilot, but otherwise it's kind of scary. And then it has 3 passengers as well. Once again, this one is a carrier one, so it does function as its own command post if you were to land in the enemy ship. And you can spawn guys off of it in here and just cause a lot of damage. There's that tail gun there if you want to see that. Up next is your tried and true TIE Fighter. This one is the standard fighter class for the Empire. It's a pretty good all-around vehicle. It can do quite a bit of damage just with its main gun, which is very close together right in the center of the vehicle, so it has very good accuracy, and the speed causes a lot of damage as well. It also has 2 proton bombs to fire out of the front like that. But yeah, I should have mentioned this for all of these space vehicles as well. They have the sprint speed similar to the ground-based vehicles, but they also have evasive maneuvers. So if you find a situation where a rocket is coming after you or something like that, or you're trying to get out of the way of something, at least on console it's pressing the B button twice for Xbox, and then a direction with your left stick, which I assume is pretty similar on PlayStation 4 for Classic Collection, and PC as well as mostly just mouse movements, but yeah. That's about it for the TIE Fighter. Alright, next up is the TIE Bomber. This one's pretty solid, actually. It's got proton, it's slightly slower. I don't even know if it's slower. It's about the same as the CIS Strike Bomber for the proton, for the particle cannon on the front for the main weapon. For the secondary weapon is your bombs, which is, you know, it's a little bit faster than most of the bombers. Not as fast as the CIS Strike Bomber, but it is pretty fast. So yeah, this is probably my second favorite bomber out of the group. And yeah, also has a secondary position as well, with remote rockets similar to the the carrier classes for all the factions. It's pretty fun. That's about it for the TIE Bomber. Up next is the last one for the Empire, is the TIE Interceptor. This is a great one. I really like this one, actually. It's kind of the original Interceptor class for the series. It's got very fast 4 cannons that can shoot really fast, as well as those. And again, this isn't the official title for them, but I like calling them Hellfire missiles. That the Imperial landing craft has as well. Not quite as many of them, but they do home in if you're locked onto a target and do quite a bit of damage. Yeah, I really enjoy this vehicle. It's very fast, shoots fast and accurate. It's a good interceptor. Alright, up next we have the Rebellion, which is the last faction for this. They have the exact same... It's called the Alliance Assault Craft in this one instead of the Republic Dropship or Gunship. It's the exact same thing as the Republic. They have the pilot class with the particle cannon and the 2 proton bombs. They have the remote rocket seat for the co-pilot. And they have the left beam or right beam turret and the left beam turret as well. So, won't spend a whole lot of time on this one. It does act as its own command post, just like all the other landing craft do. But yeah, the Interceptor class for the Rebellion is the A-Wing. This one's fun to fly. Shoots really fast and accurate, just like the TIE Interceptor. But just like the Separatist Interceptor, it has like next to no health. Has a single burst of not very many Hellfire missiles, but it does a little bit. They're good. Again, they're good at homing into other starfighters. They're not good against capital ships at all. But yeah, the shots come out really fast. The thing is really fun to fly. It goes really fast. But again, the thing is made out of paper. Like, it is so weak. So yeah, most of these starfighters for each of the factions are pretty similar, but they each have their own little quirks. Like those Hellfire missiles that come out like really fast, like a lot of them for the Interceptor, for the TIE Interceptor, but this one is just one little burst. This the X-Wing, your classic starfighter. It's a pretty solid starfighter. Doesn't have a whole lot of health because it's just kind of the all-purpose starfighter for the series. But yeah, it's got 4 cannon turrets on the sides. Kind of like that. They don't do a whole lot of damage, and they overheat really fast, which is a little disappointing. It also has the proton bombs from episode 4. And that's about it for the X-Wing. Where this guy's going with this payload of guys. Just ran right into that thing. Wow. The last vehicle for the Rebellion is the Y-Wing. The original bomber in the series. So this thing has a very slow particle cannon as the main weapon. Doesn't do a whole lot. It does the same as all the other particle cannons, but it's a little bit slow. It also has the bombs, which go out in bursts of 2 like that, which is not a favorite of mine because the Strike Bomber and the TIE Bomber just get their bombs over with so that the reload time can go sooner. This one just takes a very long time. This is probably my least favorite bomber in the series, aside from like the V-Wing for the Republic it's alright, like you can use it as a bomber really well, but the TIE Bomber and the Separatist Strike Bomber are really good for dogfighting as well. It's really good all-purpose bombers. This one is literally just a bomber. Like it flies like a bomber, it's heavy, it's slow. It's even got like a Top Gun it can do. It's really fun to fly with this if you have a good pilot or co-pilot on there. But yeah, the bombs just go out so slow. It's really fun to just kind of do like long bombing runs up and down the Star Destroyer. But again, like the Strike Bomber would have gotten all those bombs out on time on that. Like that's my biggest gripe about this thing. But the Top Gunner is really fun though. So a little bit of role playing. It's a really fun vehicle, but practical purposes, it's not the best bomber by far. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when the next video comes out. And I will see you guys next time.